It's because of the curses. We are in these curses. Our people have been suffering in the fields. We've been segregated. We've been through racism. All of this just because of the curses. Because Israel is too disobedient. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. In the view with me, Brother Amiasaf, Keith the Rapper.
Shalom, family, Most High in Christ bless. Welcome to the show. Welcome to tonight's show, In the View Live with Brother Amiasaf. And as you can see tonight, we are going to discuss justice. Okay? Justice, and when we are talking about justice, we're speaking about justice primarily in America for or against our people. All right, people of minority, or so-called minority, people of color. All right. So again, we're going to be discussing the justice system. And bear with me while I tweak all of this stuff and give you some music to listen to while I deal with these little issues that I always get into. Hear the music. I don't know if you can hear it, but I don't hear it. But anyhow, like I say, bear with me 1 minute while I deal with this.
If I call on you, Jaja, I know you'll be there. And it no matter what the circumstances, I know you'll be there. So I don't worry myself, nah. I don't worry myself, nah. So I don't worry myself, nah. I don't worry myself, nah. There's no need to worry. Your love is merciful. Love him and he'll love you. He'll show you what to do. Don't say that you can't make it. Just hold the faith and true. And I will make you stronger.
Yeah, so as I say tonight, we will be discussing the justice system in America, or primarily in America, because that's where the majority of Judah is, along with other tribe members. And so primarily we always deal with and refer to, you know, the Southern Kingdom. Where am I? Okay, so let me come out of there. Come in there. Let me see what's going on here. So yeah, how we are day today, Israel. I hope everybody had a blessed relaxed day. At times, I know the plantation can be vigorous and tough. You know, there we are. All
And it
right.
no matter what the circumstances, I know you'll be
Uh,
there. So I don't worry myself, and
so
I
let me
don't
deal with
worry myself,
these
so I don't
comments.
worry myself, I don't worry myself. There's no
Like
need
that
to
all.
worry. Your love is merciful. Love him and he'll love you. He'll show you what to do. Don't say that you can't
All right.
make it. Just
So
hold the
let's
faith
get
in
this
you.
started.
And God will make you stronger. And he will see you through. If I call on you, Jaja, Khaled. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you'll be there.
Mhm. I wanted to give you guys some music, but I don't know
I
why
don't worry
my music is
myself.
not playing. Maybe,
I
you know,
don't worry
maybe it was
myself.
deleted, but all praises. We will deal with that in a different light. Alrighty. Everything set up.
If I call
Beautiful.
on you, Jaja,
Alright.
I know you'll be there.
So,
And it no matter what the
there we go.
circumstances, I know you'll be
What's
there.
happening here?
So I
I
don't
don't
worry
want that.
myself, I don't worry
Let's go
myself,
back
so
here.
I don't worry
This
myself,
is what I want.
I don't worry
Alright,
myself.
alright. All
There's no need
praises.
to worry.
Yes,
Your
welcome in,
love is
welcome in, welcome in.
merciful.
We
Love
are
him
in
and
the
he'll
house,
love you.
live,
Show
in
you
the
what
view,
to do.
with myself,
Don't
Brother
say
Amiasaf.
that you can't
And as I
make
said,
it.
tonight
Just
we
hold the
will be
faith in
looking
you.
at
And
the
God will
justice
make you
system in
stronger. And he will
the
see you
Americas, the
through.
justice system in the Americas.
If
And
I
as I
call
was
on you,
saying,
Jaja,
as I was
I
trying
know
to
you'll be there.
read this stuff,
And it no matter what the
we primarily
circumstances,
deal
I
with
know
the
you'll be
Americas.
there.
That is where
So
the
I don't
majority
worry
of
myself,
Judah and a little
I don't
semblance
worry
of other
myself,
tribes
so I
can be
don't
found.
worry myself,
But the
I
majority
don't
of
worry myself.
who we deal with are Judah
Feed fire, the
because this
purge
is our
gold.
location. This is where we are. So,
Release impurities
as
inside
I
your
said, the
soul.
majority of us are here.
Yeah.
So we
Some
focus
can't learn
primarily
and they
in
wanna
the
make
Americas.
haste.
And this is where,
Make haste. You
when we
can't
look at
survive in
the
no weak
curses,
faith.
we will draw to.
Slow down, this race is
So
not for
that's
the
why
swift.
you
See
see
many
a
giving
lot
up and
of
then I see many
our
shifting. Stand
focus
firm in
is
this
laid
own
upon
biggest
the
old truth.
Americas
And two is better than one
because
can be
we are
compared to
living
if
in
you
these
slave
curses
period.
in this
So
land right
don't you
now.
give up on me
Okay?
now. Everything on the line and
So,
yeah, we need each other now. I see devils and
fiddle
demons
around here.
surround. No
I'm
matter what
trying to
happen,
figure
no,
out
let them
why
say
I
no,
don't have any
no.
music,
If I call on you,
but
Jaja,
I will fix that.
I know you'll
So,
be
let's get it
there.
going.
And
As
it
I
no matter
said,
what the
tonight we are
circumstances, I
looking
know
at
you'll be
the justice
there.
system in
So
America.
I don't worry
So I'm going
myself,
to
I
share
don't
my
worry
screen for a
myself,
bit
so I don't
so
worry
that
myself,
we can
I don't worry
get
myself.
focused.
There's no need to worry. Your love
Right.
is merciful.
This thing is not playing. What about this thing? No music is playing. Why? I don't know why. I really don't know. That's shocking to me. Very shocking indeed. Anyhow, as I said, let me share my screen. And you guys can feel free, those of you who are online watching, you can comment. Before I share my screen, let's get something going here. Let's look at what justice means. Okay, when we say justice, what is justice? All right, according to all of the standard definition keepers of um, who is called and dealing with this. So let's look at this, and this is Google, okay? And we're gonna Google, and you know who we call Google, your friendly neighborhood white man information machine, all right? And so when we look at justice, according to Google, it says justice in its core is about fairness and doing what is right. It involves treating individuals and groups equitably and holding them accountable for their actions. This concept is central to ethics, legal philosophy, and political philosophy, and can be understood in various ways, including as a principle of right action and as the fair allocation of benefits and burdens, or as the proper administration of laws. Okay, and here you see the liberty holding the scales of balance, right? Holding the scales of balance. And as this refers to, see what it says, fairness, doing what is right. Okay? Fairness and doing what is right. So when it comes to justice, we must understand we are living on the earth. And in so doing, we are subject to the rules and the authority of they who are in charge. Okay? So justice stems from he who is in charge, who has the authority and power to inflict their form of justice. Okay? So that is what we are reading. So you see it says fairness in doing what is right. Okay? And then at the end it says all the proper administration of laws. And that is the key thing right there. Proper administration. Because as I said, justice is in the hands of he who is in control, of what is in the hands of the authority. Okay? So that's a Google look at what justice is. Okay? So let's come out of there. Now let's look at what justice is as determined by, I think this one is Webster's. Yes, Webster's dictionary. Right? And it says justice, noun. Okay? And it says the maintenance, administration of is just, okay? Especially by the impartial adjustment of conflicting claims or the assignment of merited reward or punishments. Then it says judge. Okay, say a judge of an appellate court or court of last resort as a supreme court. Okay, right. And so let's look at the second part. It says, hold on, the quality of being just, all right, impartial or fair, right? Quality of being just, partial or fair, right? Then it says the just or the decision. Question the just of their decision. All right? Questioned the just of their decision. And then it says the principles or principles or laws just do or right action. The principles or laws of just doing or right action. Okay? So that's Webster's determination of what justice is. Right, so let's come out of that. Mhm. So let's go to Collins. All right, and let's see what Collins dictionary has to say of justice is. Collins says, and if you read this, it says, let's take a look what the three leading definition information sources determines what is justice. Right, so we had the Google, we had the Webster's dictionary. Now we're looking at the Collins dictionary. All right, and Collins dictionary definition of justice. Okay, where do I? 1 second. Is it not giving what I want? So I have to do this. All right. Scenarios, management settings. All right. Anyhow, so we'll get that at another point because right now my screen is not working. It's using that one not coming to view. All praises. Anyhow, we got a fair understanding of what man's idea of justice entails. Okay, that's what man's idea of justice entails. And as you can see, the thing that they all correlate and are similar in is saying justice, the Lord, that's justice, the authority of those who give laws, because it references judges. Okay? All right. So let's look at what the Bible's view of what justice is. And to find that, let's go to Zechariah chapter 7. And I think it's 3 if I'm not mistaken. So let me do this. And let's see. It's working with me. Usually it gives me a bunch of issues. You brothers and sisters who don't know, in Canada, internet is one of the worst things we have to deal with. It is always spotty and never works when you really need it. Okay? What is it? I think it's 17. Is it 17? What is it? reference because I lost my pitch. Zechariah 7. Zechariah 7 and 9. Probably 7 and 3. It's 7 and 9. It says, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment, and shew mercy and compassion every man to his brother. Okay? So that is what the Bible's view of justice is. Executing true judgment and showing mercy and compassion every man to his brother. All right, so that is the Bible's view of justice. And you can see that it differs greatly from the view of the earthly man. Because in the view of the earthly man, just as it was in the view of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, law is greater than that of compassion. And law is greater than that of compassion and mercy. And the law is God in their eyes. Law is king in their eyes. Okay? So with that, let's move on to this get into. Right? So we are looking tonight at the justice system in America. Okay? Is it fair? Is it unfair? Is it just? Unjust? Okay? So I'll share my screen. We can some of this stuff. All right? So we are looking at the page of the Washington Post. Okay? And this is a story of fatal police shootings. As you can see, it says 10,020 people have been shot, killed by police from 2015 to 2020. Okay? So they have shot and killed 10,429 people in the space. How many years is that? 5 and 4 is 9. Well, this statistic is not up to date according to this article. So now 2025. So we're going to work with the 9 period. Within 9 years, they have killed 10,429 people. Okay? 10,429 finished. So it says police in the United States shoot and kill more than 1,000 people every year, according to an analysis by the Washington Post. So they kill more than 1,000 people every year. Is it necessary? How? All right. After Michael Brown, an unarmed black man was killed in 2014, police in Ferguson, okay, Missouri, a post investigation found the data reported to the FBI on fatal shootings underpainted by more than half. That gap has widened in recent years. By 2021, only a third of the department's fatal shootings appeared in the FBI database. So the police are out killing when they're not keeping an accurate database of the amount of people that they kill. That sounds fishy to me. That sounds very fishy to me. Okay, let's look at this Michael Brown story and let's see what took place in there. Yep, just as it's data, data. See these numbers? 965 people were shot. 564 were armed with guns, two armed with weapons, and 90 were unarmed. Wow. And all these people were killed. These people were killed. Looking for this Michael Brown story. Okay. Where is the Michael Brown story? You don't want to give me a Michael Brown story? No problem. So let's go down and look at what I really wanted to see. It says how 2024 compares with previous calendar years. The number of fatal police shootings has risen in recent years. Police killed high 2024. I'm showing you this so that you can understand what the dispensation of justice is. Okay? Dispensation of justice of those who are in authority. It has nothing primarily to do with law, as it says in Google and as it says in Webster's dictionary. The actual fact of what takes place in the justice system in America is inflicting death, inflicting bias, inflicting racism, inflicting um, unfair administration of law. This is what the justice system consists of in the hands of he who has the authority or he who has power. Okay? So let's look at January 2024, October 2023. Look at the statistics. April to April, you had a mere 200. All right? From April to July, it skyrocketed up to 600. From July to October, it skyrocketed up to over 1,000. Okay? 2023, 2023, there were, how many in that line? There were 1,164. 2024, 1,175. Increased exponentially from January all the way up to October. And as you can see, the graph, because as I said, during the time that this was taken, you can see the during the month of October. So that stands to reason that the death toll was even higher, especially so since we are now in 2025. Okay? And so let's look down here. It says Black Americans are killed at a much higher rate than white Americans. Look at this. Black people are 6%, sorry, killed 6 per million per year. All right? These killings are police killings, not just people being murdered, but killings. Blacks are killed 6 per million per year. And even me, I don't even think that that's an accurate statistic. Not 6 per million per year. Because, well, on average, they're doing average. Doing average. Okay, it says 2,486 killed total, right? Out of 40 million people. Okay, 2,486 killed total, or 40 million, and it's the highest percentage per capita because you see it says 6 per million per year. Okay? Let's look at Hispanics. It says 2.5 per million per year and 1,717 killed out of 65 million. Okay? Then we have white, which are non-Hispanic. It says 2.3 per million per year. It equates to 4,659 which have been killed by police. 181 million. Out of 191 million Caucasians, they killed 4,659. And so you can see that the number of Caucasians killed are higher than that of Hispanics, higher than that of the so-called black. Okay? But what stands out is not the amount of people killed. You see, it says half of the people shot and killed police are white. Black Americans are shot. They disproportionate. Okay? What that means is black people are more likely to be killed in a confrontation with the police than a white person. Black people are statistically faster to be shot in a confrontation with the police than white people. Black people are targeted and shot by police in confrontations more than white people. People are shot in quicker rates during when I say quicker rates, meaning shot more frequently and regularly during interactions and confrontations with police. And so that's why you see this figure is so high because the population is smaller than that of other two. But yet, these individuals, the black man, is shot or killed more regularly than most of these, okay, who have a higher population rate in the so-called black man. Okay, let's look at the disproportionate rate. Say, aren't more white people than black people killed by police? Yes, but no. Let's figure that out. Black Lives Matter. So, Dylan Noble died last Saturday of June. Police in Fresno, California received a report of a man walking a downtown street with a rifle. And when they arrived, they instead found Noble speeding by in his pickup truck. Right? And when they tried to pull him over, the 19-year-old led police to a nearby gas station and then exited. The driver then turned down, which officers, sorry, down, turned towards officers with one hand concealed behind his back and told officers he hated his life. The Fresno Police Department said in a statement as he continued to advance towards officers, an officer involved shooting occurred. The department framed it as a suicide by cop. See that foolishness? This is the authority they have to dispense justice, to make laws, change laws. Okay? Yes. Suicide by cop. Is that not a bunch of garbage? Suicide by cop. I tell you. All right, so let's read what it says. His family insisted that could not be the case. He urged federal officers to investigate and demanded video from the body cameras worn by both officers involved be released. Okay? I am outraged that the police would shoot my son and say that it is his fault. Foolishness. Said they shot him, but it's his fault. Monica Nelson, Noble's mother, reporters had news conference not long after the shooting. So please join me as I'm demanding justice for killing. Okay? So here we read how this young brother was killed. Police justified it as a police suicide shooting, meaning this young brother knew what he was doing and he uh, made the police shoot him in order to end his life. Can you imagine that? You make the police shoot you to commit suicide to end your life. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. But this is what justice dispensation is in America. When they can kill so-called black man without any reprisal, beat you within an inch of your life without any reprisal, arrest, prison, and incarcerate so-called black man in millions without any reprisal, without having any concrete evidence, because the system is against us. This is what we have to live with. They say justice and they say equality. There is no justice and equality. The justice system is designed to protect those who are in power, right, and to inflict unequal justice and unfair penalties, bias, and racist uh, judgments against the so-called black man, the so-called minorities, Hispanics, Latinos, and the Native Americans. Okay? That is their justice and their justice system for the so-called minorities. Okay? Let's get back to this. I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay. So the next thing we want to get to, what is this? This person said, look at that. Why don't you ask Jesus directly here? Uh, ask Jesus, right? You mean ask Jesus. What do you mean ask Jesus? You need to explain that for us so we can get our understanding. Because for purpose of keeping things fair and appropriate, we want to open up any link. Okay? So make yourself more clean so that we can understand, we can give you our interpretation or an answer to our question. All right? So let's move on to the next thing I want to share. And I touched on just now the uh, inequity, what's that word? Inequality, injustice when it comes to incarceration of the citizens, majority of the citizens being American, okay? Being, because we know within the American institution, prisons, jails, uh, correctional facilities, mental institutions, we do have foreigners, okay, and uh, immigrants who are not citizens, okay, but we are trying to stick to the fact of those who are minorities recognized as citizens. Okay? Minorities, the so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native Americans recognized as citizens, right? So let's share our screen. Let's look at the prison system and see the injustice and inequality within. Mm, okay, here we go. Got this. All right. So the question is, what is the population ratio of blacks to whites in American correctional facilities? Okay. Here we see it says in U.S. correctional facility, ratio of black to white in is disproportionately high, with black individuals incarcerated at significantly high rates. Specifically, black Americans are in prison at roughly 5 times the rate of white Americans. And this disparity is even greater in some states. For example, in 2021, black Americans were in prison at 5 times the rate of whites. Can you imagine? Can you understand that? Oh, it's because the oppression are under. I'm not making an excuse, but it is because the oppression that our people are under. Lots of them find it extremely easy to get out there and do what they call hustle. Okay? Go into the streets, prostitute themselves, they rob, they rape sisters and other races, they sell drugs, they get into gang. Okay? So many things that our black brothers and sisters get into to make ends meet in terms of what they call hustling. And so that right has a direct impact on why so many of them are targeted and arrested disproportionately against the so-called white man, who also is out there not hustling, but the mere fact they're committing crimes. Okay? Mind you, you do have some men who have not financial success, have not the homes, who have not the comfortable jobs, who have not the vehicles, okay, as their counterparts. But that is due to the fact that they themselves have put themselves in a position where they can reap out of the benefits that their counterparts, because it's 10 times easier for an Edomite, a Caucasian, a so-called white man to go to a bank to get a 50 times more easier for them to go to a job interview and get a job. 1,000 times more easier for them to live in a community with their own peers. Okay? So, as I said, they put themselves in a position where they be out in the streets, committing crimes, out in the streets, living homeless, be out on the streets, drug addicts. Okay? Wherein we are, as I say, not making excuses, we are forced to do so because of the oppression that we serve. Okay? And the way that the laws are stacked against us. Right? And the injustice of the justice system, because it does not reflect equality for the so-called black man, as it reflects equality for the so-called white man. You following me? Get what I'm saying? All right. Because when we think of the prison system in America, well, let's be the not the correct what's it called the incarceration or the correctional facilities, they make big monies out of imprisoning the so-called black people that are criminals in the Americans and the Hispanics, more so than they make out of the Caucasians and the Edomites, because the system has been designed that way. Okay, that's why you find the minority races majority in the prison system, because, as I said, they use them for labor, use them for benefits, they use them for media purposes. Okay, they make money out of arresting our brothers and sisters. So arresting out of incarcerating our brothers and sisters. Okay, let's look down here. Here's the detailed breakdown. It says disparity. Black individuals are incarcerated at a higher rate than white individuals in both state and federal prisons. Wow. Specific ratio. In 2021, Black Americans were in prison 5 times the number of white Americans, according to the Statistics Project. Okay. State variation. Some states have even more extreme disparities. Yes, that's correct. With Black residents in prison at over 9 times the rate of white residents. Wow, that is unfair, and it is due to, just as we said earlier when we read this, sorry, what justice is. It says fairness, it says right, and it says law. That is justice. And within the justice system, he who has the power creates the laws, dispenses justice. So it's always going to be unbalanced, unfair, unequal, okay, unprecedented. And just as you said, it varies state to state, because some states will have, and well, not an air, it is a fact of racism. They find majority population of Edomite. So the laws are going to be and enforced to protect them, okay, to give justice for them. And in doing so, you would find majority of those who dispense the laws, i.e., the police, they would be Edomites. That's why they are written, and the codes which they go by to protect them when they come and they abuse the minorities, when they come and they arrest you for no reason, they come and shoot you for no reason, when they come and they do this for no reason, okay? Whatever they do, even up to an individual, it's covered and protected. You don't see them dragged away in handcuffs. You don't see them taken away, uh, anybody saying that they did something. No, they give you an air of false impression of going to do an investigation to try to understand. Well, Will Cochran, 90% of the times, these police officers are scared. Always chalks food. the individual who was shot being at fault for being shot. This is at the level, especially in the case of blacks, Latinos, Hispanics. Okay? The police hardly ever, right? Jail incarceration, a similar disparity exists in jails, where the incarceration rate for black US residents is 3.1, sorry, 3.4 times the rate of white US. Hmm. Have I ever heard? It says general population versus incarceration. Black Americans make up roughly 50% of the general US population. They represent a much larger percentage of the prison jail population. Hmm? You see, that is quite crazy, right? So let's take a look at this report. It's a sentencing project. Okay, I'm reading this sentencing project. It says 1 in 5 ending racial inequality in incarceration. All right, reads 1 in 5 black men born 2001 is likely to experience imprisonment in their lifetime. Time for 1 in 3 those born in 1980. Spark policy views threatens further progress in reducing racial inequality in incarceration. So, like, okay, this report was produced in October of 2023. Okay, and so we saw the statistics of the prison, right? So it says 2001 likely to experience imprisonment in their, sorry, 1 in 5 black men born 2001 is likely to experience imprisonment in their lifetime. 1 in 3, but those being. So yeah, it tells us that the disparity will be increasing. We see it with the shooting, the death rates, the imprisonment, it all goes hand in hand within the injustice system, right? Within the injustice system. It's following a massive 4-decade-long incarceration disproportionately impacting people of color. The growing reform movement has made important inroads. 21st century has witnessed progress both in reducing the U.S. prison population and racial and ethnic disparities. Lies. Total prison population has declined 25% after reaching its peak level in 2009, while all major racial and ethnic groups experience these decarceration. The prison population has downsized the most. The number of imprisoned black Americans is 3.5% since its peak in 2000. Despite this, imprisonment levels remain too high nationwide, particularly for black kids. Even though you clarify that, I still don't believe that foolishness is there. Okay? How little are you telling me it has declined? Never. Wait, that. I do not. The sentencing project. Did you just read that? Let me look at report disparities in the criminal justice system. I don't want to look at that. Okay, so let's move from there. We're going to stop sharing that. All right. Let me share my screen again. Let's look at uh, U.S. laws. Let's look at the U.S. laws. Where is this? This is not what I asked you for, my friend. Share my screen. Racism, crime, review, all the laws you put you. Where is this? Why is this thing? Empathy, finish the U.S. The U.S. laws. That's what I want. So why don't you give it to this? And come on, let's go. Let's do this. I want to take a look at how the laws are stacked against us as a minority. Uh, all right, here we go. U.S. laws equal according to race. Let's see what Google says. It says while U.S. laws aim for equality regardless of race, despite discriminatory practices still exist. Federal laws prohibit discrimination based on race, and national laws include areas, including housing, employment, and public accommodations. However, the legacy of past discriminatory laws and systemic inequalities continues to affect outcomes. Racial bias can still be present in application and enforcement of the laws. Is that a fact? Because it is true. Okay? Look at the housing, how it differs between the people here, primarily the so-called black man, and the other races. Even Hispanics and the Latinos have prepared opportunities, okay, financial and economic stability, and they would do this. Is why they see us ever they don't ever want to see us useful. If it were to be, it's as I said, that decreases the incarceration rate, decreases crime rate, that decreases the stigma of black crime in the criminals numbers. So they don't ever want to see no black individual living a life where they have natural resources and economic might help their own people. All right, and that's what we always foster this dissension between the black race. They want to see us unite. They don't want to see us help one another. They don't. It says here's a more detailed breakdown of protections against racial discrimination. Constitutional protection. The 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause mandates that states can deny any person within their jurisdiction equal protection of the law. People in similar situations should be treated equally by the law. That is one of the greatest injustices in the American justice system. Okay, because I distinctly remember uh, in one of my podcast interviews, I spoke of what I think it was an interview when I spoke of the article that I saw. And there were two, uh, excuse me, teenage individuals who were arrested with excuse me, charged with the same crimes placed in the same justice system, but the outcome, all right, the penalty different. The young black man who committed the crime without them using any force, any violence, or harming anyone, he was given, I think, the prison sentence as the young Edomite. Okay, I think the Edomite got 2 years, and the young man got 25 or 30 years. And the Edomite has a record of committing crimes by force and violence. The young man has no record of ever using force or violence. All right, and it was his first offense. So that goes to the disparity of what they said. Some states have different laws and dispensation to different races. That is a prime example of that. Okay, so federal anti-discrimination laws. It says laws like Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1960 prohibit discrimination based on race, color, or national origin in programs and activities receive federal funding. Well, I don't think they realize that. In America, it's right. The Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, and national origin in programs and activities that receive federal funding. Well, I don't know how you manage to overlook that because you have so many uh, black national movements underfunded or not funded at all by federal funding. I'm sure lots of them have applied. Okay, but you look at all of these so-called funded groups, you would see they are chaired, founded, organized, being run some Edomite. And as I said, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Okay? Because they're not going to fund these groups. As I said, they don't want to see no group, no individual with financial resources that can build up a community. Because if one black man helps another so-called black man, you know how empowering that is, then they have resources that they can accumulate together and then help them. Oh no, 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 no. Your friendly neighborhood and one that was not prohibition of discrimination employment. This is another great injustice system in America. It says the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, laws prohibiting discrimination based on race. I don't think they realize color, sex, national origin, disability, and age. No, because we know sure that any other race that goes to an interview, whether in a private corporation, a federal corporation, state corporation, no people of color be choose over that of a Negro for sure, and especially not a man. All right, they are an Edomite woman, an Edomite man, correct? And then we think of a female from one of the minority races. But when it comes to the men, oh, it is a hard struggle to fight a job of power with that of Edomite. Okay? State and local laws. Since many states and local jurisdictions also have laws by additional protections against discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and nationality. Now, most states have these placed to protect, as I said, Edomite citizens and residents, not share, formalize, or dispense equality or justice, but to protect their people. All right, and to most states, challenges disparities. We see systemic inequality. Despite legal protection, systemic inequality persists in areas like housing, education, criminal justice system, leading to disparities and outcomes for different racial groups. That's the fact. And the most who are affected by that disparity, the so-called black. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Dr. Well, his brother, Dr. Umar Johnson. Okay, he's an authority on Black Africanism. I didn't partake of Africanism, but I at times follow the brother because he highlights a lot of points that are factual and true when it pertains to so-called black people, especially in America. And one of the things that he always points that I take is that we have no economic might to create a society. Okay? Yes, by that, what is the explanation for that is we do not have finances, the resources to create our own economically still black society, right? Because what he points out is that we don't have one own banks, two, an education system, or our own black school. Three, we don't have our own food stores or farming that we can say black owned, sustain. We don't have our housing. Say all black goods, uh, furnished, uh, resource, uh, etc. Those rich by our own banking institutions. Okay, you have black, these are all black, but primarily most of the homes are mortgaged, owned by Edomites. And like, and then again, we have a hospital, because again, where we live, people, everything is either owned or privately owned by the white people. All right, these six things, top things that we pointed out, as makes up society. All right, and we lack finances, resources, and the economic commerce to make up our people. society that includes these six vital things that would allow us to be independently free from so-called white man's system or from state or federal funding. All right, this is this is what I do because of the same systemic inequality. Despite protect systemic inequality in areas like housing, education, and the criminal justice, leading to disparities and outcomes in different racial groups. With that, right, it has racial bias. Racial bias can influence the application and enforcement of laws, leading to disproportionate outcomes for certain racial groups. All right, and it goes on. Right, right. It's always going to be conflict when it comes to people of color, minorities. Okay. Mm, all right. So we're going to leave it right there, brothers and sisters. And so tonight, as I said, we looked at the unjust justice system, the Americas. It's not only in find disparities, you also find these in Canada, these disparities, you know, you find these disparities South America, you find these disparities, um, all of the uh, they call those other little places down underneath the Caribbean. But it's a self same situation and problem throughout the Western Hemisphere. Okay? Because why? The Western Hemisphere is the world when it comes to black man, okay? Especially so-called black. We are oppressed throughout the world. Laws are written not to give us justice, not to give us equality, but to further oppress us, okay, and to protect the two power. Because if you look at the Hispanic, when they say Hispanic, it is not Spanish, it's not the Portuguese, right? It is those so-called minorities that inhabit those Western countries, such as the islands of Puerto Rico, such as the country of Mexico, right? They are not recognized as Spaniards. They're not recognized as Portuguese. Okay, so they are also the minorities who are affected by the injustice and because of those who are in power. Okay, because when you go throughout the world, you go to France, you're a black man, you experience racism. You go to France, you're a Mexican, you're going to experience France, you're Puerto Rican, you're going to experience the racism. Okay, you to Spain, you're a black man, you're going to experience the racism. All right, anywhere you go as a black man in the world, powers are all explicitly made to control you and to give you inequality. So, with that, say good night, shalom, Messiah, and Christ. Thank you for watching.